God bless the hands of a carpenter, his dusty heart plumb and true. My wife, he closed the book for her, and the work was almost through. That bookie closed her father's house. My wife was sinking overcome. He was a friend in times of doubt, and the work was almost done.
Hello, folks. We'll be streaming soon. Getting set up.
God bless the hands of a carpenter, his dusty heart plumb and true. My wife, he closed the book for her, and the work was almost through. That bookie closed her father's house. My wife was sinking overcome. He was a friend in times of doubt, and the work was almost done. And the hammer rings the nail, and the stars are forging on, and the boatman hoists the sail, and the work is almost done. He framed a room for Hannah's child, where she dreams of love free and wild. A bay window to kiss the sun. Oh, the work has just begun. Dear Matthew, can you see it now? The letter Jacob spoke about, the angels moving to and fro. If your troubles nobody cares about, if your troubles no one believes, if your troubles nobody cares about, carry your troubles to me. When your troubles, they weigh like 1,000 pounds, your troubles all bending your knees. If your troubles, they weigh like 1,000 pounds, you can carry your troubles with me. Did somebody tell you?
There it is. How are y'all doing tonight? Hopefully that's coming through well. It's Ezra here, and this is the Studio Cabin Campout Day 9. And I was having some technical troubles. I didn't know if I was going to get on, but hopefully we're streaming through. I'm going to check the chat real quick. Looks like it's just opening up there. And so if you are on YouTube or Facebook, this is a private event, but I'm stringing a part of the event out live, and you can jump on. There should be a link in there if you want to come join us in the Studio Cabin Campout, or watch replays from the last 9 days. And we got one more day left, and I'm going to give it 1 minute. I'm going to play a little bit of a song here and finish what I was doing to fix this issue I'm having, and then we should be on. Sorry for the delay.
God bless the hands of a carpenter, his dusty heart plumb and true. My wife, he closed the book for her, and the work was almost through. That book he closed.
All right. Sorry I don't have any way to like fade it out. That would be great if I did. How are y'all doing tonight? So glad to be here for day 9. I didn't bring enough water out here. This is going to be a trip. All right. So here we are on day 9. This is the second to the last day of the Studio Cabin Campfire. Our campfire. I was thinking, I looked down at my campfire and I saw it needed a camp out. And this is for those of you that are joining us today, this is a limited private release party for my double album Mornings and Midnights, which the first single is going to come out in September the 19th. When I get done with this, I'm going to send out a pre-save for Spotify. And this album, it's a double album, 20 songs, and I'm giving them away to everybody that's subscribed to the event. And we're at I guess we're at like 18 songs now. And so only 2 more songs. You have all of morning now. And pretty soon you'll be able to listen to it how I created it to listen to. And we will have, I did make some headway on getting the albums up in the store, and I'm going to do a special for everybody that's a subscriber. And then publicly, I'll probably start rolling things out towards the 19th when the first single comes out. But this is going to be a slow release event, just like I do everything kind of slow. And speaking of slow, I was dragging today. Y'all, this has been like I was telling my bass player, it's like a Jerry Lewis marathon. I don't know if y'all ever watched those when you were young. I would watch them because back then, anybody that was back in the like 80s, you didn't have a lot of choices, late at night especially. And so, yeah, I watched me some Jerry Lewis all night marathons before. Today, the 2 songs I had for y'all are 1,000 Pound Troubles and the work. And today I have, I think, only 4 or 5 little poems and readings I'm going to read from the book tonight. And once again, if you're jumping in, this is a book called Mornings and Midnights that I wrote during the making of this album, and it's just poetry, it's writings, it's kind of a lot of inspiration that I wrote for myself mainly to get this thing done, and it turned into something of a neat little catalog of I would call it like my emotional terrain or my heart while I was making this album. So I'm real glad that y'all joined me to read this today and to talk. And then after that, I'm going to play 1,000 Pound Troubles on the Git Fiddle back there. And let's just jump into it. Troubles, 1,000 Pound Troubles. I'm going to read the story of it, but I'll tell you a little bit of what it makes me think about. It's just helping people. And I actually just heard this joke, and this joke makes me think of what it means to help people. So this guy, he died and he went to the gates of heaven, and God was there, and he said, hold on, sir, let me get my book out and check and see if you're in the book. So God got the book out, and he's looking through every page, and he gets all the way to the end. He goes, I don't see you in here. And the guy said, are you sure? Can you look again? And God looks again. He goes, no, you're not in here. And he goes, well, how often is it updated? And he goes, God said, well, I get a download about every 10 minutes. And the guy said, oh, okay. Because, yeah, I called out to you about a minute right before I got here. Just right before I got here, I cried out. And he goes, and God said, oh, okay, well, while we're waiting for the next download, why don't you tell me about a time when you helped somebody else? And the guy goes, well, I could tell you about this girl that I helped. I was driving down the highway, and I looked over, and I saw this young girl surrounded by a whole group of bikers, tough looking guys, about 20 of them. And they were kicking her, and they were laughing. And so I just pulled over right there, and I got my tire tool out, and I walked up there, and I saw the biggest guy and walked up to him, and he had an earring in his nose and an earring in his ear, and he had chains that went to both of those. So I just reached up there and I grabbed him and pulled him out, and he was bleeding. He started screaming, and I turned to those other guys, about 19 left, and said, anybody else want some of this? And God was like, wow, that's an incredible story. And so when did this happen? He goes, about 3 minutes ago. So that's kind of, sometimes you get in trouble when you're trying to help somebody in their troubles. That's a joke I find kind of helpful. I actually wrote this about my family, and I'm going to read you what I wrote in the book. I'm going to read the lyrics so you can kind of see what it's about, and then read you kind of what I wrote about it. 1,000 Pound Troubles. When your troubles nobody cares about, when your troubles no one believes, when your troubles nobody cares about, you can carry your troubles with me. When your troubles weigh like 1,000 pounds, when your troubles are bending your knees, when your troubles they weigh like 1,000 pounds, carry your troubles with me. Did somebody tell you when you were just a child, oh, this world, you better figure it out? Well, you don't have to right now. Just carry your troubles with me. Those troubles, they find you in every town. Troubles, they cross any sea. When your troubles, they find you in every town, you can park them down on my street. Some troubles, they knock down your front door. Some troubles, they don't bother to ring. If your troubles, they knock down your front door, you can carry your troubles to me. Did somebody tell you when you were just a child, oh, this world, you better figure it out? You don't have to right now. Lay your troubles down like 1,000 pounds. Let those troubles drown in the sea. I'll pick you up in my truck in every town, and you can carry your troubles with me. 1,000 Pound Troubles, the way it was written was funny. I started it for my best friend, Tim Taylor, when he was living with us for a while, but I didn't finish it. Then I picked it up again and started writing it for my wife when we got back together after the divorce, but I couldn't finish it. Then I wrote it for my two kids that got me pretty close to done. The song got a little mixed up with all the pronouns, his, her. I'd sing it and get confused about who I was singing it to. So I finally finished it for my daughter. Now, when I get on stage, depending on how I'm feeling or who I'm thinking about, it might be for Tim, it might be for Hallie, it might be for Noah, it might be for Cozy. And that seems right for this song. It's for people that I love to tell them, hey, as long as I have a truck and some gas money, you're not alone. If things get hairy, I'll come pick you up halfway around the world if I have to. If your troubles are weighing 1,000 pounds, I'll bring a trailer. If you need a place to stay, we'll park you on the sofa until you feel like you can face the world again. I had a friend that, maybe y'all have a friend like this, a very dependable friend. He was the kind of friend that if I called him and I was in trouble, I would hear the phone shaking. I would hear him getting his keys out because he'd be walking to the truck. And the thing is, he didn't care where he was going to have to drive, whether it was another state. And there's evidence of this where I wasn't the only friend he would do this for. He would just walk out. He owned a business, had a family, and he would just walk out, jump in his truck, and just start driving. And I remember one time this was during this divorce era that the album Midnight comes from. And I was playing in a show in downtown Dallas on the street. It was a Deep Ellum festival. And I was up on stage and I played a song or two. And I remember the promoter, while I was playing my show, came up and asked me if this was my car, if we could move it. I was like, what? I mean, this is the middle of our show. And so I just walked off the stage, unplugged my guitar, and just walked away and just walked down through downtown Dallas. And I guess I was trying to walk home, but on the way home, I got my phone and I called that friend I'm talking about. And by the time I got to the other side of the bridge on 35, he was there and he picked me up. And so this guy, he passed away about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago. And, that's the kind of special people. And there's not a lot of them in your life. You get a few people like that. And I've learned, I didn't know it when I was young, but you got to take care of them. In fact, that makes me think I got to read a story about him. I don't completely have a plan. I kind of just let myself flow and let the book kind of guide me. This one, since I was speaking of it, his name was Bart Swayze. He was the bass player in my band, my earliest band, Gypsy Tree. And also, if you have the album or have listened to the Ezra Thomas years, or if you have Promised Land, he's the bass player on Promised Land mostly. All right, I'm going to read a little story about him and my daughter. 10 years ago, I lost my friend and bass player, Bart. He was young, too young, a rare talent, a gangster with a heart of gold, as we used to say. His death left a hole in the world, one we didn't know how to fill. Not long after he passed, his best friend Jeff sought me out. He said he just needed to be near someone who had known and loved Bart the way he did. We bonded over shared grief, and through the connection, my daughter Cozy met Jeff's son Rowan. Fast forward to 2024. Out of nowhere, wedding plans kicked in. Cozy and Rowan, two kids who had grown up around each other because this strange shared loss, decided to get married. It felt sudden, even a little shocking, but they were sure, and who was I to argue with love? It has its own plans, its own rhythm. They set the date for June, just a few months away. When the wedding day arrived, I found myself sitting with Jeff, the father of the groom. As we waited for the ceremony to begin, we started talking about Bart. Someone asked, when did he pass? Jeff thought for a moment, then said, You know, it was around this time. Let me check. He pulled out his phone and walked away. A few hours later, I walked Cozy down the aisle. Jeff, who was officiating, began his talk to the bride and groom. I guess he had held back the date for dramatic effect, and it worked, because beginning the wedding proceedings, he shared it. It had been 10 years to the day since Bart left this world. I teared up. It was a bittersweet moment, a collision of grief and joy, of ending and beginnings. Bart's passing had shattered us. At the time, we couldn't make sense of it, couldn't grasp why someone so full of life had been taken so soon. But here we were, 10 years later, watching two lives come together because of the ripple effect of his life and his loss. It felt like Bart was there smiling sideways in the way only he could, like he was reminding us that nothing is ever truly lost, that even in tragedy, there's meaning, a thread connecting moments we don't yet understand. We're small as humans, caught up in the grandness of it all. But in those small connections, those seemingly random turns of fate, there's something profound. Nothing is ever lost. Nothing at all. It's good to think about. That kind of choked me up a little bit. I am kind of a weeper. I'm surprised I haven't weeped a lot on these 10 days. Thank goodness. I hate it when it happens at shows. Sometimes, the songs, well, at least for the last 10 years or so, I've been writing songs that are deeply connected to stories in my life, to actual events. And so when I get on stage sometimes, for the most part, I'm okay. But every once in a while, especially if somebody's sitting in the crowd that has been a part of that story, it just hits me funny and I can tear up. And it's not pretty. I wish I was like a pretty crier, but I'm a kind of a snotty one. I'm going to read a story here. First, I want to check, make sure everybody's okay. Oh, looks like we're good. I see some comments. If you're in the back end of the camp out portal, my wife is Hallie, and she's in there, and you can ask her any questions. I don't know if she can get to me. She could text me, and I'd probably see it pop up if you have a question. And if you have a question, probably the best way is there's a comments on that page, and just put a comment in there, and I'll take a look at it and answer it, because tomorrow's the last day of the camp out. The second song I shared with y'all in your album folder is called The Work. And this is a hard story to talk about. And I think I just better read it because I don't want to get too sappy. I'm going to have to pull out some sweet ones in a little bit. I don't want to get too sad at this camp out. But there's some beauty in this story and this song. I'm going to go ahead and read the lyrics for those who haven't had a chance to listen. Kind of tell you about the song, and then I'm going to read a little side piece I wrote with it. God bless the hands of a carpenter, his dusty heart, plumb and true. My wife, he closed a book for her, and the work was almost through. That book he closed, her father's house. My wife was sinking, overcome. He was a friend in times of doubt, and the work was almost done. And the hammers ring the nail, and the stars are forging on, and the boatmen hoist the sail, and the work is almost done. He framed a room for Hannah's child, where she dreams of love, free and wild. A bay window to kiss the sun. Oh, the work has just begun. Dear Matthew, can you see it now? The ladder Jacob spoke about, the angels moving to and fro, and the work is all they know. And the lights are turning on, and the old man is pondering, and the rooster wakes the dawn, and the work has just begun. His hands would shake, no more obey. I'm sure he felt he had no use without the structures that he made, but the work is never through. Dear Jesus, when you see this man who took his life from everyone, a carpenter will understand that the work is never done. And the hammer rings the nails, and the stars are forging on, and the captives freed from hell. Oh, the work has just begun. The work is never done. Matthew broke our heart. I remember my wife was strangely happy the day before we learned Matthew's passing. He just started a new medication to combat the tremors in his hands. Not long after, he admitted to my wife that he was experiencing deep depression for the first time in his life. She made the connection immediately. The depression had started right after he began the drug. It seemed pretty cut and dry. She had seen this before. I too suffered side effects from certain medication. It nearly cost me my life. She asked Matthew to show her the bottle. Sure enough, the label listed depression and even suicidal ideation as possible side effects. She suggested the drug might be causing his despair. He agreed and said he'd take it to talk to the doctor about it, switching meds. That's why she felt hopeful that day. She was excited to help him sort this out in the following week. Matthew had just about finished a big project on our front entrance with one more day of work left. Then on Monday, we got the news he had taken his own life over the weekend, right after completing the project and cleaning up a few days before Christmas. After her father died, my wife started adopting old lonely. Oh my goodness! After my father died, my wife started adopting old lonely men, often becoming the only person who truly listened to them. Many older men are dismissed for their unfiltered, cantankerous ways, but she saw through it. Beneath the gruff exterior was gold if anyone would take the time to mine for it. There was one old man in the neighborhood that everyone avoided. His mere presence at the local coffee shop could send entire tables shifting. But Hallie liked him. She loved him. She'd call him for advice, not just because she needed it, but because she knows he needed to give it. About everyday living stuff. People found their blunt honesty annoying because it's just not the way we do things anymore. Today we go home, blast our opinions to the world with a smug coldness, and then smile politely in the office the next day. These men, though, they just said it right there in the middle of a coffee shop, a birthday party, or any other event. They had lived long lives, noticing the little mechanics of gardening, cars, and human behavior that we've yet to accrue. Matthew, though, was not one of the gruff ones. He was a tender-hearted old fella, practically a live-in roommate with how often he was at our house. A fix-it man, a carpenter, a collector of rare coins and stories. Our home, over 100 years old, always needed his handiwork. Passing him in the kitchen was risky. I might end up in an hour-long conversation. Hallie made sure those conversations happened. She cherished them. When her father was in his last years, she came to understand something most people overlook. We need those old men. We need the wisdom of past generations. Even their gruffness, they play a crucial role in the drama of life. It reminds me of an old Jimmy Stewart movie where he plays a cantankerous old man on vacation with his family. We love watching those characters for a reason. They are a part of the human fabric. If we had a house problem, Hallie used to wait months until I was free. Now she eagerly called an old man for advice. He knows what to do, has every angle covered, and delights in explaining it. Matthew's death was heartbreaking because most likely it was a side effect of the drug he was on. Had he made it through that one hard night? But even if it wasn't the meds, suicide is one of the most shocking things a person can face. I've spent my fair share of decades romancing it. Thank God I came out of that movie. It shocked me and made me sad. But when the clouds started to disappear from the loss of Matthew, I felt a hope for him. The struggle of love continues on the other side. The great work will be done. And though one of God's children, our old friend Matthew, gave up on this side of heaven, love never gives up. The work has just begun. The work has just begun. The work is never done. Those are hard to read. You know, I think I should lighten things up a little bit. I'm feeling that. I'm going to go with it. I'm having a little problem seeing the book tonight for some reason. I'll try to do it like this. All right. The story kind of made me think of particular people and the role that they play and the characters that they are in our life. As I look back at my life, you know, in the moment, if somebody's like, I call them particular, like if they're very different and hard to deal with. That's not comfortable. But the people that have been in my life that have been like that and have stuck around, they're like characters in a movie. And as I get past it enough to get out of any irritation, I start to miss those characters. And this character in this poem, he's based on a lot of characters I've met. When you're getting sober, you meet a lot of other people that are still out there, and he kind of reminds me of a lot of them that I've met. And this is called Dusty Moe. And I've never tried to read this. It's kind of a hard one to read. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Ain't no other like Dusty Moe. On a rail he drove, a preacher's son. Through the pine and the rocky tops, boys seen it all, never stops. Expounding on that philosophy, Socrates and the ancient gents, the only tramp with a doctorate, none of us bums knew what he meant. Nietzsche, Freud, Jung, and Kant, those friends of his talked too much. Split two hairs, tween two mules, thinking about a world so cruel. He had some hobos organizing, now they call him Democrat, demonstrating and carrying post. 'Twas the government who owed him most. Drunk by noon and spitting fire, in bread he soaked pure gasoline. Round that bum, best not smoke, damn near burn up all he wrote. Let's not forget that fine detail. He was typing up a commentary on the brother James and Habakkuk, prophesying on the holy book. These and ye's and thou shout nots, brimstone fire and bloody moons, says that day be coming nigh for Uncle Sam and his banker bride. Hobos know, don't ask him when. He'll lick you up with the devil's tongue, write your name in that revelation, blow you up with the whole damnation. He bit the head clean off a snake, wore it like a nice tie to dinner, at church no doubt, then got arrested, his plea in court just feeling festive. His eyes all crossed like a railway sign, never sure which one you be talking to. When the conversation be halfway done, you figured out you picked the wrong one. One leg shrunk shorter than the other, walks like a wagon with a broken wheel, but he'll catch that train when it's time to go. Oh, there ain't no other like Dusty Moe. That yeah, I need to work on reading that one. You know, thinking of helping people, uh, it used to seem so simple. Like you just hand somebody something, money if they need it, get them a house if they need it, get them a job if they need it. I like to think of a story of my youth of a lady that really helped me in a way that taught me later in life. I didn't learn anything back then. Later in life, all this came back and I learned lessons. But it was very impactful how this woman helped me. So when I was about 17, I left home and I went and lived at a ranch. And they had it was a tack barn with a horse shed next to it. And there was a little horse named Trigger that lived in this shed. And I talked to the owner of this place about renting that, turning it into a little room. I had to put up a wall over one of the sides of it and built a little room for me to live in. And she let me live there, but she said I had to pay rent. And so I was 17. I was working at a gas station, and I think I made less than $4 an hour. I think it's like $3.75. And so even if I worked 40 hours a week, what is that, like around $200 a week? I could scrape together maybe 700, if I was lucky, 800 working full time. And she charged me, I believe it was $250 or $300 a month for rent. So I had my car, I had my, add up all the stuff, food, gas, and then I had this big rent bill I had to pay her. And now I played in a band with her family, with her children, and that was Gypsy Tree, if you ever heard me talk about that. And so I thought she'd kind of take it lenient on me because her sons were hanging out in my horse shed all day and we're playing music. But every time it came to time for rent, she made sure I paid rent. She was a stickler about passed, and then I moved off. And when I left, she came to me with a little box opened it up, and it was full of cash, and it was all the rent that I paid her, and she gave it to me. And so I was actually paying into my savings to start my life. And that just showed me something, it still does to this day, how to really help somebody. Because I've made a lot of mistakes helping people, and people have made a lot of mistakes helping me. Because as I've shared, I won't go over and over it again, but I was a terrible drunk pretty much from my early teens or late teens on. I was pretty bad, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And a lot of people stepped in and tried to help me, and things never changed in my life until I was willing to change. And then suddenly the help helped. Before that, at some point, I started to realize that the help actually hurt. I think other people did too. And as people stepped away from, giving me handouts and stuff, and I was left with only my devices, I had to face my consequences. And now it's not something to make hard and fast rules about, but it changed me. I changed like that. As soon as all of my options were gone, I started changing, and I was willing to change finally. So I don't know what happened first, but I do know it's a more complicated thing than just giving somebody what they think they need. I there's a story of when what was this one? When I lived. I'm trying to think of another thing, and I forgot it. But anyways, let's jump back in. All right, I'm going to read this my street. Oh, actually, I'm going to read this one here. So this kind of what I just mentioned about a willingness. There's an old saying, I heard it, I don't know where it comes from, that God will work with you, but he won't work for you. And I've kind of taken that of how to help people is that somebody has to want the help, and they have to want to change. And I remembered the story I was going to tell. I know actually a few stories like this. This one's of a businessman that was a businessman all his life, and he always had people just on the regular stopping by, family and friends and acquaintances, with wanting to start a business with him, with this big idea. And he told me it was pretty simple to kind of root out who was really willing to work. Is I would give them something very simple to do, which is go and do a little bit of research, show me the competition and how we'll make a profit, put it in a little PowerPoint and bring it back and we'll talk. And it was shocking how little people ever did. They just didn't come back. And the ones that did, some of those, a business did get started. And so there's kind of like a barrier for entry. There's a lot of people that need help. And if someone is not willing to help themselves or to take part, and be willing to change or to receive help, there's a lot of people out there that are. And my thing, it sounds maybe hard, is that I will try, and I'll try again if they come back later to help. But if they won't receive help or they're not willing to change, I'm just going to keep moving on, because there's lots of people that are willing, and that's who I want to help and who I want to work with. And I've had that. That's not like something I came up with. That's just something I learned from people doing that with me. That through me not taking help, where somebody would offer help, give it to me, and I do nothing with it. And then a different time in my life is when somebody gives me something, I want them to come back and I've doubled it. And I'm not talking about a thing so much. Maybe it's just advice or some direction or something that I've actually used it, to kind of show that I'm in this. There's another guy that I knew that helped a lot of young guys just kind of get out of trouble. And every once in a while, another guy would hear about him and just want to talk to him. And he'd say, sure, I'm over at this breakfast place. Do you have a way to get over there? They go, yeah, I got a car. Well, meet me over there at 6 a.m. And they wouldn't come. Very rarely did anybody come sit down with them. But the ones that did, he helped them because they kind of showed that they have this willingness. There's an action behind it, and that's not much, getting up at 6 and coming into a restaurant. But it's not that they couldn't do that 100 times. And he'd be like, I'm over at the restaurant at 6 a.m. I'd love to help. It's just that they have to take the first step. This has nothing to do with that. This next poem. It might have a little bit to it. This is just one I wanted to read. I cannot run far enough or remain as stoics endure, strong but not so tough. It seems I only wonder. I remain as stoics endure, a Christian on holy days, but it seems I only wonder, dispersing crumbs of praise. A Christian on holy days, for I've crept through many tombs, dispersing crumbs of praise to rest in lovers' rooms. Yes, I've crept through many tombs and gathered riches real. I slept in lovers' rooms, but only learned to steal. I gathered riches real by tossing in the flame. All I want and need to steal, I'm working for my gain. I'm tossing in the flame what I want and thought life is. Now I'm working for my gain. I pack what is not ashes. What I thought life is, strong but not so tough. Now I pack what is not ashes. I run, but never far enough. Life, like the story of Benjamin Button, I am growing backward. I knew so much when I was young. As I grow older, I know less and less. Once proud of what I was capable of knowing, now desiring courage of unknowing. It's usually a young buck who draws dusty old knowledge from the shelf. I instinctively pull out from my books that I've read. I may even try to convince them of something if I'm feeling frisky, but afterward, all these words feel like ashes on my tongue because I know something I can't quite explain, and that is, if I know anything at all, it is that I know very little. Yet even the little I know cannot be contained in a book or even in words. To never speak again might best describe what I'm trying to say. All right, I think I'm going to just sing a song and move on tonight. I'm pretty tired, y'all. I'm going to read one more poem, and then we're going to sing Troubles. This one is called My Street. I guess it was last night, just about that big change in my life and deciding, I guess the one I just read kind of ties into that. It's a willingness to try things that I was never willing to try, and a willingness to expect good things from life and to keep walking forward no matter what it looks like. And, that's when something of helping people I've learned from other people helping me is that it's not something we can get a broad statement about. I do it this way. Like even the stuff I shared tonight, these are kind of light guidelines for me of not getting stuck in a bad situation. But I found that love is a very personal thing. And in this society, I don't know if we've got too much schooling or something, but everything sounds like we're writing a bill for Congress or something when we're talking about how we should act and what we should do. And the truth is, we might do something one way with somebody and we might need to do it a different way with somebody else. And love is something very intimate and personal, and those decisions need to happen in the moment. And so I try in my life, but I don't always pull this off. Try not to make broad statements about what I will do and what I won't do and what's the best way to help somebody and what's not. I do have kind of loose boundaries that help me because I've gotten into trouble before. I'll tell you one time, there's this guy that hung out in a church parking lot. I was like, look at that. None of those church people helping him. I'm going to go ask this guy if I can help him out. And he's like, sure, man. Can you give me a ride to my girlfriend's house? It's like, sure, jump in the car. I think I ended up running drugs with that guy that day. But anyways, so I have some loose boundaries on how I help people because you can get in quite a mess. But I also don't think that I know a whole lot, and I just want to be a vessel that can be helpful. That I can be there when somebody needs help, and think about it deeply, and think about it not in a very kind of bumper sticker way. And anyways, here's a poem about this my street, and I don't know what it's about. I'm going to read it. I was flipping and I go, oh yeah, that's a cool picture. I forget what the poem's about, but let's read it. Let this, okay, let me try this again. This my street. Let this singly define my days on earth, the practice of my mortal energies, bent upon my utmost understanding, this one aim, a target of great worth, each peak I conquer, a sign of new birth, not of my treasures and fame amounting, not of far travel through glorious seas, not for thin vanities of wine and mirth, but simply to love each face that I meet. The bitter drawn frown and the helpless drunk, the clown, the weak, the messy and the neat, hypocrites, lazy, and the secluded monk. For I strive to love as God loved me. Though feet may fail, I walk a good street. So it turned out it was about what I was talking about. A lot of these kind of dance around the same theme, and it also dances in the album because that's where my life is right now, between the morning and the midnight. You know what? I'm going to read that. It's kind of a little thing at the beginning of the book. This book is kind of like that. You can just kind of flip around and find stuff to read. I wanted it like that because I like books like that. I used to draw, or I used to make music. I wish I'd kept it up, but it's too late now. Too late for what? What train do you think you missed? Art isn't taking us anywhere. That's the point. What I see in your eyes is a longing, a belief that art is some blissful escape from the grind. But that's the lie. Art, like life, isn't mostly fun. It's work. It's wandering. Until suddenly, it's wonder. Every now and then, both life and art surprise you. They hand you a ticket. So keep yours handy. You might catch that train. Where to? Out of tomorrow, out of yesterday, for a ride between morning and midnight. Seems like a good time to play a song. And man, I wish I had some more water. My throat's dry, but let's do it. And if you're wondering, yes, this is the same shirt I wore on day 7. I'm running thin on shirts. The washer's not working. It reminds me of my son had a favorite song of mine, but it had a cuss word in it, and he was about 4 years old. I couldn't hide it from him. He would just always listen to this song, and he'd sing it word for word, and it had one line in it that was, every day the same old shit. And he would get to that and he'd go, every day the same old, and he wouldn't say the word because I think he didn't really know what I was saying. And one day he goes, Dad, what are you saying there? And I was thinking fast on my feet, and I said, every day is the same old shirt. And he goes, yeah, it kind of is the same old shirt. And so he sang it for a while. I'm about to have a grandbaby, so he knows the word very well now. It didn't last long. All right, this is called Troubles, 1,000-pound Troubles. If your troubles nobody cares about, if your troubles no one believes, if your troubles nobody cares about, carry your troubles with me. If your troubles that weigh like 1,000 pounds, if your troubles are bending your knees, if your troubles that weigh like 1,000 pounds, troubles with me. Somebody tell you, if you were just a child, girl, this world, you better figure it out. You don't have to right now. Well, there's troubles, they find you in every town. Troubles that cross in the sea. If your troubles, they find you in every town, you can park them down on my street. So the troubles, yeah, they'll knock down your front door. Those troubles, they don't bother to read. If your troubles, they knock down your front door, you can carry your troubles with me. Did somebody tell you when you were just a child, girl, this world, you better figure it out. Well, you don't have to right now. Lay your troubles down like 1,000 pounds. Let those troubles drown in the sea. Oh, I'll pick you up in my truck in every town. You can carry your troubles with me. Carry your troubles with me. All right, folks. Y'all have a good night. Thank you so much for joining me on this trip. We got one more day left. I got a bunch of sweat in my eyes. So I'll see you tomorrow. And y'all can just come watch me take a nap out here on the fourth floor. Because it's been a long haul. I'm really glad to be here and that you joined me. And we'll see you tomorrow. Look for one more email tomorrow, and you'll get the last 2 songs of the album. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. If your troubles nobody cares about, if your troubles no one believes, if your troubles nobody cares about, carry your troubles to me. Troubles, they weigh like 1,000 pounds. Your troubles all bend in your knees. If your troubles, they weigh like 1,000 pounds, you can carry your troubles with me. Did somebody tell you when you were just a child? Figure it out. Well, you don't have to right now.
those troubles, they find you in every town. Troubles, they'll cross any sea. If your troubles, they find you in every town, you can park them down on my street. Some troubles, yeah, they'll knock down your front door. Those troubles, they don't bother to ring. If your troubles, they knock down